All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Really Human, our amazing podcast. And today we have a really special guest. His name is Chris Kim. Amazing friend, amazing leader. He has the highest rank currently in RIMAN. And I've met him just for a little bit over a year. It's been amazing, and today we're gonna have an opportunity to do a little bit of digging into his brain and experience and heart. So welcome, Mr. Chris. How are you today?
Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you for having me on the call. Welcome, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Christopher Kim. I'm a national director here at RIMAN in North America, and it's a pleasure to be connecting with everybody today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about you. Who was Chris Kim before the success, the recognition, even the national director title, even before RIMAN, before network marketing
Yeah.
industry? Tell us.
I have a very unique story. Some of you may have heard my story. My story may slightly stand out because of given, what's going on with K-pop and things like that. But it's not a relatable story, but it's a story that everybody can listen to and have fun and really understand my journey. So, prior to this industry, I used to be a K-pop recording artist. If you look back
Wow.
here, these are my albums that I've toured in South Korea. I have 9 number one songs and 5 major hit albums. But I say this with a humble heart, not to brag, because fame and fortune are two different things, right? Fame
Mm.
is about notoriety, your accomplishments, everything you've done, and people recognizing your hard work. But fame and fortune are two different things. Fortune is a totally different skill. And that's why I could say this, in a fun way, because uh, I didn't have financial success as a recording artist. And I found some financial success here in direct sales. And, prior to even music, I was born and raised in America. I was a little bit of a troublemaker, and I caused a lot of problems. But luckily, I got into dancing, break dancing, and dancing was my saving grace. And, I started dancing. And in 1996, there was a huge K-pop concert in America, a huge K-pop concert. And I had a chance to be a back dancer there.
All
And
right.
over there is where I got scouted. So the show happened at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles, California. That's where Michael Jackson performed his famous "Remember the Time." It's a very
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a very iconic stage, and I got to perform there as a back dancer. And I had all these like record label executives asking me if I wanted to go to Korea to be a singer. And I had 2 days to make a choice, 48 hours to make a choice. Obviously, I made the
Wow.
decision. 2 days later, I got on a plane and I went to Korea, man.
Wow. That's amazing. So to talk about opportunity, right?
Yes.
Sometimes opportunity knocks you out the door, and but you need to be able to make a decision, right?
Yeah, so opportunity comes in the most weirdest ways. When it comes to like life altering, life changing chance of a lifetime, it doesn't come to you gift wrapped in gold like a gift. No, it comes in the weirdest way you never thought possible. And the person that could see far, the person paying attention is the person that always wins, right? So, you know, even with network marketing, right? It came in a very weird way. It didn't come as a multi-million dollar opportunity, right? Same thing. I was a troublemaker. I got into dancing, and the opportunity that somebody said, "Hey, why don't you stay out of trouble and learn breakdancing?" Who knew that would lead to an opportunity of a lifetime? But what if I said no to learning dancing, right? So it's just another life lesson that you just never know what's going to happen, and it's not about what you know, it's more about who you know and the people that could help you.
Right. And what are the part of what's the part of life that you don't know, right? Sometimes you hang on to all the known, and you're afraid of the unknown, what's going to happen. And I think that mostly in your career as an artist, like I guess there's big ego involved, right? In those careers, how would I be, putting myself into this selling stuff, right?
Yeah, let
I'm
me
a
tell you.
stage performer, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of
so
hard, I guess.
this is the I used to be disease. I used to be famous. I
Wow.
used to have hit songs. I used to be respected. And there's still a lot of celebrities that are still in the used to be syndrome, right? I used to be, I
Mm.
used to be. And that's the dangerous cycle that makes you go crazy. You know, people do crazy things. But there comes a time where you have to like let go and give everything up. You know, you have to give up and you have to make a decision for yourself.
Right. And I guess it's not only about artists. Like I've seen so many professionals and even myself, like before RIMAN, I was like on a really hard break with network marketing. I was into real estate
Hmm.
and I was kind of the guy that, yeah, I did network marketing before, but I'm over it, right? I'm into real estate investments, right? And it just gave me the opportunity to have a little bit of ego. But at the end, it's like, what's 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 more important for you, just like the title or your family's interest,
Exactly.
right?
So being famous and broke is hard because everybody knows you.
Wow.
They've listened to your music, but you have a handicap, you know, and that handicap is what keeps you handcuffed, right? But if you want to break away from that handcuff, you have to know and learn to throw away the past. You can't live in the past. You have to reinvent yourself, recreate yourself, and move forward for a better future.
Yeah. Hey, and when you were introduced to the network marketing profession, was there ever a moment when you seriously, once you said yes, was there ever a moment where you seriously questioned whether this business was for you or not?
I questioned it so many times, Rodrigo. Like you question it all throughout your career. Like, but it's just at different stages and at different levels of your leadership, right? But like, you know, I questioned it even in the beginning. Like, is this for me? Can I do it? You know, but you know, life has a funny way of correcting things for you and teaching you things even though you don't want to. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But it boils down to how bad do you want it, right? It's like pick your pain. Like, do you want to pick the pain of being somebody that's being forgotten and you lost your career, and you pick the pain of living in the past, or you pick the pain of humility and move forward, right? It's the same
Right.
pain, right? But two different results. You're going to be in pain anyway. You're going to be hurting anyway. You're going to be hurting because you're sad, or you're going to be hurting because it's tough, right? But, you know, there's a saying, right? A broken heart, sleepless nights, and a hungry stomach, that'll transform you. That will change you.
Yeah. Do you remember any like specific story or a specific event of that you considered a failure that eventually became one of the best things that's ever happened to you? Can you share a
Yeah,
little bit
you
about?
know, when I say this, people are gonna laugh at me or tell me like you're lying. But my biggest failure is my music career. Let me
Wow.
explain. Let me explain, okay?
Yeah. How come?
When people hear my story, right, they say, "Oh, K-pop," and then they think of like BTS or Blackpink, what they know K-pop now, right? And you know, they think people automatically think if you're a K-pop artist, you're successful, you know, you're decorated and things like that, right? But the hardest thing for me was to throw everything away and reinvent myself. Okay.
Mm.
So my biggest failure is my music career. Let me explain. Okay. Like in other people's point of view, they're going to be like, wow, you had a great career. You know, you have all these famous songs and like you were somebody famous. But the key is you used to be.
Right.
You get what I mean? So
Yeah.
remember, my career ended in the height of my prime. So at the height of my biggest career and success, that's when my team ended. Okay.
Wow.
So in my heart, like when I tell my story, it's like, wow, that guy used to be famous and successful. But in my heart, it's unfinished business. You get what I mean? Like we didn't get to see
Yeah.
the highlight of our career. None of us did. Like we were at the height of our career, but it ended there. We didn't get to go higher or see what would happen after that. You know what I mean? And then, you know, the level of success, think of it like this, right? Like the level of Michael Jackson's success and Chris Brown's success are two different things. They're both
Yeah.
successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they're in different levels. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
so
different.
I've seen higher levels of success in my career too, right? Like my career didn't end like BTS. Think about that, right?
Yeah.
Although my dream was as big as BTS too. Think
Right.
logically, right? Like everybody has a dream. When you're pursuing your dream is to become the best, right? But when
Yeah.
that doesn't happen in your mind, that's a failure.
Mm.
Now, all throughout my life, after my music career, I never talked about my music career, Rodrigo. I never bragged about it. I forbid my wife to tell people I was a K-pop singer. Like, my wife had a problem with that because she was so proud of me. She loves me, and I wouldn't let her tell people who I was. And one day she told me like she had a problem with it. And I said, why? And she said, because I love you. I'm proud of you, but you won't let me tell people about you, you know?
Mm.
And then what really changed my heart was at the national director promotion for RIMAN.
Wow. So
Let me explain.
recent.
So
Yeah.
all these years, Rodrigo, like when I tell my story, it's the only story I have. So therefore I tell the truth, but it's not
Right.
something I'm proud of. If you talk to Tim, her, and Jill, they'll tell you it's not a story I'm proud of. If you talk to my wife, it's not a story I'm proud of. It's a story of pain and failure to
Mm.
me, you know, because I didn't finish the mission with my team, right? Even though we were
Yeah.
famous and super successful, we finished there. We didn't sail off into the sunset, right? So when I started network marketing, I told my story, but I hid my career. I didn't brag about it all the time. Like I didn't
Mm.
really, even now, like I don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm a K-pop guy." I say it in a funny way for you to understand how big my career was, but I bring it back with humility and be humble so that you could hear the story and
Yeah.
not be like, "Oh, this guy's bragging about himself." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in my heart, my career was a failure because it didn't finish where I wanted to, right? So that failure was the learning lesson, Rodrigo, of what I need to do better in network marketing when I started. Now, I didn't know that when I started, but looking back now, the
Yeah.
antidote, the healing to that failure was network marketing. Because remember, where I'm at in my age, I've already encountered fame before. So I'm not looking for fame.
Yeah.
Bro, I came to look for money, bro. I came to make money, you know?
So what belief did you have to unlearn, right, in order to reach the next level in network marketing, or what
Okay, so
version of yourself
this is
had
the
to
secret.
disappear? Yeah, yeah.
This is the
What was
secret.
it?
Whether you are a big boy network marketer that hit a grand slam 5 years ago, or whether you were a platinum artist like me 20 years ago, okay? Here's
Mm.
the secret, okay? The day you realize and you accept yesterday's home runs will not win today's games.
Everybody needs to write that down. I
Once
mean,
you, in your heart of hearts, accept the fact yesterday's home run will not win today's game, when you accept
yeah,
that truthfully in your heart of hearts, that's when change begins. That's the truth.
right. Yeah, well, there are many times that I felt this, and I'm sure, of course, you felt it with your music career. But what would you tell anybody that sometimes you feel that even that you're working hard, you feel that you're doing everything right, you know,
Okay, let me
and
explain that.
but the results, they don't come
Okay, let me
with
explain
bad
that.
experience. What would you say?
Okay. The best way I could explain that is like when you're weightlifting, okay? Let me explain
Mm,
weightlifting, okay? I've been weightlifting on and off for 10 years, on and off, right? But
yeah.
I have muscle memory because I've
Mm,
been doing it on and off, right? This past 3 months, I've been working out really hard, eating right, working out, getting my body well, right? Now, I have a physical trainer, Rodrigo. He's a bodybuilder.
Mhm.
He's shredded. He's ripped. Okay. Let me show you his picture. He's ripped. Okay. Let me show you the difference. Okay. No, let me show you.
Yeah.
He's a Coreano, but he looks like Superman.
A Korean Superman.
Bro, look at that body.
Oh, bro. Wow. Is that even real?
Yeah, it's real. This is real. This went viral. Okay. So that's my personal trainer. Okay. Now, let me explain. Okay.
Wow.
If I flex my chest and stand next to him, my size is almost the same as him, right?
Mm.
But the difference between him and I is he's been doing it for 10 years, right? So it's not the size, it's the density that he's built over time. The density
Okay.
and the definition. So if you look at me, I just look like skinny fat buff. But he's ripped and buff, right? But I'm the same
Yeah.
size as the guy. That's the
Right.
difference with leaders, right? It's like it's those layers and layers of density that you're building inside, right? Anybody could build a wide back. Like you could build a wide V-taper back if you do enough pull-ups, right?
Yeah.
But if you look to the side and you're skinny and you don't have a thick back, that's because you don't have the density. That's where volume has to come in, right? That's where leadership comes in, right? It's like if there's a leader 3 years in and then they're saying to themselves, how come I can't make money like Chris Kim? Is because I've been doing this 20 years.
It's
Every,
layers. It's just layers,
it's the
right?
density, layers of density that I've built, right? If I'm
Mm.
on year 20, you can't be on year 3 and jump to year 20. You every year is one step, next step, next step. That 1 year,
Yeah.
every year is a density of leadership that you're building, right? So you could build the size as a leader. You could get to team leader, you could get to director, you could be a senior director, a national director. But how do you qualify and stay in rank every month, year after year? That's the density of your leadership you have to build. It's not just numbers, selling products. It's also belly to belly in the field, learning how to read the temperature, right? So like Tim Hurst says it the best, right? There's two leaders. There's a leader that could go in and check the temperature, right?
Mm.
But then there's a leader that could be a thermometer and raise or drop the temperature. He could control the temperature. That's
Right.
the difference with the density, right? So wherever you are, it's not like you're doing something wrong or
Yeah.
you're doing something right. No, it's like to have a great career in RIMAN, you got to have great years of business, which mean great months of business, great weeks of business, great days of business, to great activities in a day.
Yeah.
That's the density part, right? So if you're a team leader and you're like, how come my business isn't growing or how come this and that? No, you're exactly where you need to be, but where you are is you're building density, right? Because some people can grow fast, and that's with size and water and just eating a lot, but that might not be the muscle, right? Now, to
Right.
keep the size and then have a pretty body with muscles, you got to keep building layers and layers and layers and layers of leaders and
Yeah. And yeah, now that you opened that topic on recognizing leadership, I just love like working with you and Tim because you're like super results oriented, but you're also really human. You have really human leadership, and I love that about you and the team you've built, right?
yeah.
So let me ask you a couple of questions and you can elaborate, right? First, how do you recognize someone's potential? Because you're talking about years of growing, years of leadership layering. So how do you spot like leadership potential at first? And then how you help them, how do you help develop that leadership without turning into copies of you? Because I've seen this in you guys team, right? You've been able to develop leadership with so many different styles. You let them grow their own, right? How do you spot and how do you develop leadership?
It's very easy, okay? how you spot it is not based on some crazy performance or them putting up numbers. It's just the attitude when you look at somebody.
Mm,
It is very true. How you do anything is how you do everything. Okay. Like if you see a potential leader, they might not be good in the beginning. That's okay. Right. But it's the attitude, right? Like, let me give you an example, like what Tim talks about, right? It's like if there's a guy and he's not really too sharp, right? And he's not really like the best looking guy either. But his attitude is right. He shows up with a suit. He's always huddling with his team. You know, he's not a problem maker, he's a problem solver. You just met this person recently, but you feel like you've known him for a long time
yeah,
because you share similar things. That's the leader. That's the person you want to grab. It's
yeah,
sometimes we gravitate towards the rank, right? But it's
mm,
not always the rank. Rank is important because that's the measuring stick of the work you've done. But
yeah,
also you have to look at the attitude and the activities that people are willing to put in. You have to observe that, right? How you do anything is how you do everything. Just watching somebody. They might suck, but they're enthusiastic, right? They keep bringing people. They keep calling you. Those are the people I spend time with. That's the
mm.
basic indicator. Like people that call you more, those are your leaders.
Right. Super simple. And one thing that I see this, and for everybody listening to this, I see in the two way. You're telling us like the formula or the recipe on how to spot people, but you're also telling us the recipe or how can we, be self-aware and start acting on it, right? It's all about attitude. I mean, how do we solve problems instead of creating those problems? We calling our outline. We love like as leaders, we love downlines calling us and keep us working, right? And it's the best thing to do. And how suit up and be present in every single opportunity we can. And that's also an opportunity for us and for everybody just to be self-aware and what type of leader do you want to attract? Is the leader you must turn into, right?
Yeah,
And
you attract
also,
the way
yeah,
you act, right?
yeah. And then you spot them. How do you develop them? Because I've
Well,
seen different types of styles of leadership. Some leaders tend to be more, put more pressure on results, and other leaders are trying to be more understand and hearing. What's your style, and how would you
well,
recommend
our
this?
I'm very intentional about how I present the business so that they can watch and learn and duplicate it as fast as possible. I'm very intentional about how I present to people, but also I'm very mindful about, obviously how I deliver the message. So for me, it's more about how I would connect with the prospect more. And it's getting the new person to watch how I actually do it. So when I interact with somebody, I try not to like brag too much about myself. Because
Hmm.
if you talk too much about yourself and your accomplishments and like the K-pop story, it's like hard as it is, bro. It's like someone's gonna be, how do I do that? Right. It's like, so I try to make it funny or I talk about the pain more. I don't talk about my accomplishments. If you notice like how, like I talk a lot about how like I lost everything. So, you know,
Yeah,
and I don't really try to like tell them I'm a national director, even though they know. I try to keep it as real and humanism as possible. And I try to stay humble. Because if you
yeah,
do that, these people are going to feel special. They're going to feel worthy of your time, right? So I let the person talk as much as possible. That's the key.
yeah,
Because two things happen when you let them talk. They start getting open-minded and when they start getting open-minded, they get excited about talking.
yeah. That has changed a lot in the past 10 years, right? I remember, 10 years ago, the network marketing industry, it was all about bikinis and martinis and Lamborghinis and
Yeah.
bragging about and just having the big gold watch and the stage and renting exotic cars and everything, right? But I,
Those
I
days are
guess
gone.
like Yeah, if that's gone, it's all about the real stuff, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are now focused more on depth because social media changed the game. Because social media now is real-time information. You can't fake anything. Everything is going to be brought to the forefront. So now
Yeah.
people are looking for quality, depth, something meaningful and lasting, like that's what it's become now. So like the days of showing off doesn't really matter, like today I love wearing like a Casio calculator watch. It's like the old school 90s calculator. I love rocking this stuff. Yeah, I got the nice stuff too, like Rolexes and stuff, but like this is what it's about. It's about like, if you know, you know. It's not about the big, shiny $30,000 watch anymore. Is it nice to have? Yeah. Like, is it a great investment? Probably. Those things will go up in value. But people today are more interested in building a legacy, building a future, building a community, building a brand. That's what's hot right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit about legacy. Well, moving into that direction, let me ask you this: what's one truth about success right now that most people don't want to hear?
Um, Sometimes you're just broke at a higher level.
All right.
You've ever heard the
Yeah.
sound? You ever heard the song "More Money, More Problems"?
Yeah, and I
Yeah, it's
believe
kind of
that.
true. It's kind of true. So what I mean by this is you have to become a good steward of money because when big money comes in, it's easy to spend. It's easy, like easy money, easy gone, and like it's not about what you make, it's about how much you're actually
Keep,
keeping. Yeah.
right?
So when it comes to like building a legacy, making money, here's what I will tell you, okay? Like, number one, don't be surprised if you hear that there's multi-million dollar earners in our industry or in our company. It's not something new. It's not something like shocking because every industry, creates millionaires, right? Like the stock
Yeah,
industry, e-commerce industry, the beauty industry, manufacturing. There's all types of industries that create millionaires, right? That's what capitalism is, right? So when it comes to that, understand that it is absolutely possible. Number two, you have to put in the work. You have to work, okay? Now, here's what I will tell you when it comes to level of success and financial planning, okay? Network marketing will not make you an oligarch wealthy, but it'll make you a
mm,
multimillionaire where you have money and you're prepared to invest and diversify your wealth and use it as a springboard to get to that next wealth level. That's what network marketing allows you to do. It allows you to have money and time. And for me, I did that. Like I didn't go buy exotic Lamborghinis and Ferraris. Maybe one day I will. But what I did is I invested my money. I invested it and I wanted to like, 10x my portfolio. I got into real estate and that completely changed the trajectory of my life. It's not network marketing that changed my life, but it was the income from network marketing that allowed me to go invest in a safe way because when you cultivate residual income, meaning income that never dies, income that you didn't have to work for, income that you leveraged off of other people's purchasing power, you can invest that kind of money because it's money that will always make its way back to you. But if you invest into
yeah,
5 businesses and 3 fail and 2 make it, you'll make all your
yeah,
money back and more profit and become wealthy, right? So
yeah,
the whole point is this. All the wealthy people in the world say you want to have at least 4 to 5 different streams of income if you want to be a real solid multimillionaire, right? So network marketing allows you to create one solid income of residual income from consumers. And with the residual income, it allows you to go invest into other businesses so you could
yeah.
expand wealth. That's what network marketing income is for.
Let me ask you something. So, of course, that sounds really, really appealing, and I guess not only for me, that for almost everybody that will watch this podcast. But what would you recommend for somebody to that's just getting started? Let's say with RIMAN ranks a team leader that's probably earning 7,000 or 10,000 a month. how 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 what would you tell yourself 10 years ago or 20 years ago if you're earning that kind of money? What would you do? because sometimes, sometimes that happened to me before. The first time I earned, 10K, I got
Man, you want to go
distracted.
buy stuff.
I got distracted because I wanted to buy and invest in stuff. I lost everything, but I also lost my network marketing business because I was out of focus, right? So when's the right time to start investing? How much? What would you do? Let's say you
Well,
start. Yeah,
the first thing I would do is seek financial education. What I
yeah,
mean is not go to school, but like read the books. Like if you don't want to read, I hate reading. So I do audiobook. I download it on iTunes and I listen to it in the car. But there's two books that completely changed my life. The first book is Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? He explains how people get rich and how young children are taught at an early age. And the second book is called The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay.
yeah.
In that book, there's a lot of things to learn, but here's the main part. They talk about how everybody that makes money is so busy paying bills. Like once my money comes in, I'm busy paying my debt, paying bills, credit card, rent, right? But in that book, it tells you to flip it and say, pay yourself first, and then with the money you have, make it work. It's a mental exercise. And when you do this long enough, in that book, that gentleman ended up becoming the richest man in Babylon, right? So this is about being a good steward of money, right? So if you're a team leader making 7 grand, 10 grand, I know it's tempting. You want to go buy that Louis Vuitton bag, or maybe you want to go buy, the Bottega Veneta, or you want to buy, the Christian Louboutin shoes. I know it's tempting, but my best advice to you is when you're making that kind of money, live like you're homeless, live like you're poor, okay? Because you have not arrived, okay? That's called Costco money, like the sampler money. Okay.
Costco money, yeah.
Yeah, that's like sampler money. And then when you get to like 20, 30,000 a month, you know what we call that? You haven't arrived. We call that lazy money. That's the money that gets you lazy. So you don't want to work anymore and you don't want to get to that next level. Right. So there's stages to this, right? So the best way I could explain is
So hold on. Costco money, lazy money. I love that. What's the next level of lazy money? I'm about
FU
level,
money.
honestly.
FU money.
FU money. All right.
You got to get to FU money. Okay.
All
Because when
right.
you get to FU money, residual income wise, you could invest and buy $100,000 house every month. Think about this. And the housing and the house at some point, right? The rent roll is gonna make you wealthy. Think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's about understanding, am I buying assets or am I buying liabilities? Right? Am I
Yeah.
buying something that's gonna pay me back, or am I buying something to impress somebody that don't even care about you?
Yeah.
And that's the hardest addiction to beat.
Yeah. Wow. That was a good one. So as we, I know you have another meeting really soon, but as we move closer to the end of this amazing podcast, let me ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah, yeah.
So national director is in our company, RIMAN, is like the highest rank, right? So after reaching that level, by the way, in North America, there are only 3 national directors. And I believe that we're just getting started.
Yes.
But many people consider national director as the ultimate goal, right? What still excites you about RIMAN? You know,
Well, now what excites
what
me about RIMAN is
and the
hitting
next
national.
level?
Well, hitting national director is exciting. It's an amazing accomplishment and a landmark achievement. But what's more exciting is staying qualified as a national director month after month, year after year, because that is an indication that your business is healthy and it could run on its own. The whole goal is in the beginning, you are dependent on the business, but later you are independent of the business. That's the goal, right? So in the beginning, if you have senior managers and team leaders wondering, how come my business isn't taking off the ground? How come this? How come that? Well, the news is it's completely normal. You're on the right track. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Imagine you opened a liquor store and 2 months later, you're saying, how come I'm not a multimillionaire yet?
Yeah.
It's like that, right? It's like, so it's stages and steps, baby steps of growth that you must go through and endure and, take on the challenge. That's pretty much the reality of the matter.
Right. So the goal is like grow your business, keep it healthy and keep it growing, right? Because either you're growing or you're not.
Yeah, but also here's something that me and Tim did really, really well, right? Whatever you do duplicates in the business, right? Like monkey see, monkey do, right? So if we are bad leaders and we spend money like water and like we're telling everybody go buy a Mercedes, Versace, this, Chanel, this, if we do this and we create a culture of that and that duplicates, nobody's saving money.
Mm,
You're spending
yeah.
money like irresponsibly, right? But if we're as leaders, we're setting the right culture, teaching people about wealth management, building something, then you're going to attract even the same type of those people too, good people too, right?
Yeah.
So, we want to attract people that want to change their lives, Yeah, there's a balance, right? You're not going to live forever. So, certain things you should do to reward yourself, right? But at the same time, you have to do it responsibly, be a good steward of money because the whole point of making money is to build wealth.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So let me finish with this question. It's a more like personal question. This is for the human being, for Chris Kim, right? The father, the son, the husband, the friend. What do you want your family and the people closest to you to remember about you that has nothing to do with Riemann? You
Um,
know, when all the titles, stages, recognitions, and results are gone, what how would you like people to remember the way you make them feel, right?
um, when it's all said and done, I want people to remember me as somebody that did his best in helping people the most. Like making money is important too, but like how many lives you impacted. And, like when you get to a certain point in your career and you travel the world, I'm sure Danny is feeling this right now because he's pretty much like the master distributor. But, even in my previous company, I went through this. When you travel the world everywhere in the markets and then people come to you and say, thank you for bringing this opportunity to my country. You guys helped change my life. There's nothing more special than that. Like when you go to these countries and people tell you that, right? And then you see right before your eyes people's quality of life changing. Like I got to witness this in my career too. That's the biggest blessing. Like you get to witness that people's lives changing before your eyes. Like imagine watching somebody go from zero to hero and become a millionaire like in 2 years. Like and you saw their transformation. That's
Yeah.
special.
Talk about goals, right? This industry, and I love about what we're doing here in Riemann. Obviously, you have to work your ass off, and obviously, there's so many things involved. But it can happen so fast, man. You can help people. Like we've even seen we have even experienced this in Mexico. Many team leaders that never traveled to a different country before, and now they're opening in other markets, and then they're starting making 5 6 figures, and it's
That's
so
the
amazing,
magic,
man.
bro. That's the magic.
Yeah,
Look, it's not about like people like you and me that have been doing it for 10, 15 years and then we come and hit the top. No, that's like that's nothing special. The real magic is like a woman or a man, no experience coming in here and they see success and they start making life-changing money. That's the magic, Rodrigo.
yeah.
The new person changing their life and like watching that transformation. That's the beauty of this business.
Wow. Um, Everybody that's listening to this, it is this is so special message because it's not about that it's if it's possible or not.
It's
If you
just your
do this
attitude.
business with the right attitude, it's gonna happen. And money soon, it's just like it's a byproduct.
Yeah,
You
money
know,
just makes you more of who you are.
right?
That's just the truth.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. Anything else you want to say before we go? Thank you. I
Yeah,
really appreciate this time.
I want to thank everybody for taking the time to, hear this interview out. But, one last word of encouragement I want to give everybody is wherever you are in your life or in your career or in RIMAN, and you're asking yourself, how come I'm not getting to that next level or I'm not, growing as much as this leader? The best advice I could give you is everybody's life and journey is timed differently. Who knows? By the time you become a national director, that director, that person that became a director when you were a team leader, they might not even be here, right? You never know how the business is going to turn out. But what
Yeah.
you must have absolute faith in is betting on yourself. Betting on yourself that you're going to see it through, be a person of integrity, and do the work. Now, my last word of advice is never quit. Never, ever, ever quit. Never quit on yourself, never quit on your family. Here's the thing. If you people don't fail in this business, people quit. If you don't quit, you
Boom.
can't fail, right? So just stay the course and you'll be glad you did. That's my,
You can't quit. You can't fail if you don't quit. I love it.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chris Kim. We'll see you really, really soon. We love you all. Thank you. See you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you guys soon.